Is Roxy almost available? All right, good people. Good. All right, good people. Thank you so much for being here. We're gonna go ahead and begin. This is our 1:30 uh, social emotional learning through the art. Um, thank you all for being here in person. Quick note: there's going to be some folks in our webinar virtual meeting space. That's why we have a microphone. To the folks in the virtual webinar and folks listening to the recording, please email all of your questions that you may have to info@artsbr.org and we'll send it to the appropriate person. But with that being said, we can kick things off with an introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. No pressure, no pressure. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kiana Linnell, a performing artist here based in Geismar, Louisiana. The Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge aspires to advance diversity and equity in every aspect of our work. We celebrate our region's diversity and promote the role of the arts to connect people. To that end, we would like to take this moment to acknowledge the inclusive history of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as a part of our responsibility to honor and affirm Indigenous people, culture, history, and experiences. We recognize that communities native to this region, including the Chitimacha tribe of Louisiana, Choctaw Nation, and others whose memories may have been erased by violence, displacement, migration, and settlement. We are dedicated to expanding awareness of, increasing access to, and growing participation in the arts across diverse populations throughout our community. The Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge, along with the Louisiana Division of the Arts, continues to listen and learn to better understand the people within our community and the environment it inhibits. Few things have challenged all of us, like the pandemic. That has gripped the world for the past 2 years. The arts are no exception. While they are known to help heal the human spirit, they were sidelined, I can tell you, for the most part. As things get somewhat back to normal, Roxy Victorian, Diodario Conway, Tanya Chapman Griffin, and Tanya Chapman Griffin are going to share what they have learned about the psychosocial impact of COVID-19. Roxy Victorian wears many hats since arriving in Baton Rouge from the nation's capital. She is the dance instruction and curriculum specialist for the East Baton Rouge Parish School System, founder and artistic director of Niyama Contemporary Dance Company, and is in residence here at the Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge. Like Roxy, Diodario Conway wears multiple hats as a recognized mental health specialist, is the project manager for the Ascent Project's Baton Rouge location, and an adjunct professor at Southern University and founder of the counseling consulting group DSC Consultant and Associates. My soror of the wonderful Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated Association, Miss Tanya Chapman Griffin is a licensed prevention professional with the East Baton Rouge school system. She is the eye care advocacy specialist and founder of Curvy Girl Fitness. She is a licensed Zumba instructor, and that's my girl. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this information and feel welcomed into the Arts Council of Baton Rouge. Thank you, guys.
All right, next slide, please. Hi, everybody. I'm Roxy Victorian. So Kiana got us all covered. Y'all know who we are. We're going to just jump into things. Next slide, please. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to talk about identifying the issues, responses to stress, anxiety, and depression, and identifying social emotional learning deficiencies in students, especially during COVID learning. Taking action, so action steps for teachers and parents when they identify deficiencies, communicating with parents, school, and community support resources to support healthy student advocacy and risk prevention, collaborating, so collaborative tools and interventions to support SEL development in the classroom and at home, arts integration, strategies and exercises to facilitate positive social emotional development, and exercises and activities that are practical to facilitate healthy communication in the school and at home. Next slide, please. All right, this is my girl. Tanya, you ready? We're gonna get them all iced and braked.
So good afternoon again, everybody. It's so weird to be on a mic and you don't hear the echo, right? But I'm talking, so it's pretty cool. Everybody watching with us. So we're going to do a quick icebreaker. So we know the influences, right, of being mindful, being more aware. So we're going to do that right now and take a great short mental health break, okay? So I want you to sit up straight for me, wherever you are. And I want you to relax those shoulders, have your feet flat on the floor and your palms either on your lap or on the desk. And I want you to take a nice deep cleansing breath. And what that means is you're going to breathe in nice and slow through your nose, and then exhale nice and slow through your mouth until the very last breath exits. And if you're at home, if you're going to keep your eyes open, you can do that. If you want to close them, feel free to do that. We're going to take 3 nice, deep cleansing breaths together. Let's breathe in and exhale out until that very last breath exits. Breathing in again and exhale out. Nice and slow. And one more time, breathe in and exhale out. And sometimes it helps to just have that sigh to reset our thoughts. And when you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and open your eyes and let us know how that felt, right? So we're going to start with you, Beth, because I saw you enjoying the moment. Tell me how you felt about that. Yes, refreshing and clear, and your eyes are bright and you're smiling. All right. How did you feel about taking that reset moment? Right. Because you take a pause to come back because you're running around doing so many things. And so being able to take that breath intentionally is so important. Kiana, how about you? How did you feel? Yes. Would anybody else like to share? How you felt? Yes. Right. So not being why are your eyes closed? All right. So sometimes we want to have a shift, whether it's a positive shift, whether it's a time to just kind of have a moment of clarity, doing that simple thing, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, anywhere, whether it's in the restroom, sitting at your desk, in traffic, right? In the morning when you're getting yourself together, just pausing and taking a nice, intentional, deep belly breath can help to reset that moment. So that's a really cool icebreaker, Roxy. You're welcome. You're welcome.
When we were putting together the presentation and I thought about the icebreakers, I thought about them for the audience, right? But I had the opportunity to kind of take a moment. And when you're presenting with anything, right, you think you're ready, but then when you get bodies in different energy in your presence, then your pits start to do different things and your mind starts to raise. So it was nice for us as well to be able to center. And it also builds community, right? Because we were able to take that breath and have that moment together. And we're going to get into other things that connect us back to this moment. But I want you to continue to think about building community and fostering a safe environment for your students. All right, I'm going to pass it off to D. You ready, my man?
Been at track over the past couple of weeks, so I'm getting used to getting the baton. So how you guys doing today? Dear Dario Conway. So I am a licensed master social worker, and I've been in the field for about 20 years, working primarily with folks with pronounced or profound psychiatric dispositions. And then lately, primarily has been with adolescents. Absolutely love them. They can be extremely honest, and sometimes it's harsh, but we need that. So today I want to talk about mental health. What does that look like? It includes our emotional, our psychological, and our social well-being. What I've learned and what the research suggests, if that is not well, or if you're not whole in these areas, then that will affect how you think, feel, and behave. So have you ever been off balance and then encountered some sort of stressful situation and maybe consider how did you handle that? You have. Thank you for sharing that. And actually, during COVID, when everyone was, I guess, stuck at home, what I did with my family was I got into the arts. I've always been a fan of arts. I love art. Actually, I collect art, Roxy. And so what I did during the pandemic, particularly March, early 2020, when we first became aware of it, I got a good friend of mine. He's an artist, and he drew on canvases. And so I set us up in the garage. The wife and I may have had some wine or something like that. And it created a community with the family. I mean, you're already a community, but we got closer. We laughed. I had music playing, and I did the artwork, the canvases, specific to each person's personality. So my wife, I may have gotten some books, or I don't know, women shopping or something. My son, I got fast cars. My daughter, she's a sneakerhead, so I got her different Jordans, and we just went in there and painted it. And I got a lot of Kappa Alpha Psi stuff. I see that's the Alpha man right there. But I got a lot of Kappa Alpha Psi stuff, and I just painted it. And Southern University, and that helped, and it became a tradition for us. So now we do it on a regular basis. And so No, we can go back. So as we were in the COVID-19 pandemic, I had to ask myself and the community, are we already in a stress and anxiety pandemic? Were we already living that? And no one was saying that, right? Was it being, I was identifying it because I work with folks on a regular basis, but outside, COVID-19 exacerbated it, and it told us where the gaps were in treatment and access. And so when I established DS Consultants and Associates, I wanted to be accessible to anybody and everybody, primarily the schools and the young people and the folks who may not be able to go to a hospital, or I just made, so I'm mobile, I'm accessible. And so have we been feeling feelings of despair or fear of our loved ones, decrease in job security, loneliness? I think that's what she was talking about. The worldwide paradigm shifted from thriving to we just got to survive now, right? So there were lots of feelings of hopelessness, increase in anxiety, sleep disturbances, a decrease in financial security, and social withdrawal. And then here's the thing, my colleagues, we were talking, we're not exempt from this stuff just because we are presenting the information, right? It impacted all of us. And just outside of COVID, we have children, right? So we have work, we have jobs, and we have multiple things. So if we're not identifying our levels of stress or anxiety, then it can be a detriment to our daily performance. So what does your response to stress look like? You may have a change in activity levels, decreased efficiency and effectiveness. For me, I know when I'm having a lot of stress, I wake up with headaches, clearly. So I went to my doctor and I said, Doc, I feel like I'm going through bottles of Tylenol. And so he said, Conway, sit down and figure out what you're doing, what has changed, and begin to prioritize and time management. And so you may experience difficulty in communicating, increased sense of humor, gallow humor, irritable, outbursts of anger, and frequent arguments. Now, this is probably the most common, and the inability to relax, rest, or let down. Some of us eating habits, I think the research said the average person may have put on about 10 pounds, I think, 10 to 15, yep. Because we didn't have anything to do other than eat. And some folks drink. So you notice alcohol was leaving the stores, right? So that's creating another issue. But folks were trying to figure out, how can I cope with where I am? So I completely understood that. Next. So how do you feel physically, emotionally, when you're anxious or stressed? And so these are some questions for you to just kind of think about, how do you feel when this happens? So for me, I hate flying, but I fly a lot. So days leading up to my flight, my palms are sweaty. So that's an indicator for me, right? And so I get a little irritated. And so, and I'm aware, I think I'm very well aware. So I'll take a step back. I have to figure out what is going on. And then I remember that you got a flight Friday, right? So I figure out how to begin to desensitize myself and prepare for the flight. So too much stress, anxiety, or depressive symptoms can impair our functioning. It is important to learn what causes your triggers, what causes you to stress, and what coping techniques work for you, because they can help reduce the levels of anxiety. And then please reach out to someone, right? So how great is it to call Tanya and say, Tanya, can we do this exercise real quick? Because I need to do it. I need something. I don't know what it is, but I need something. And then you may feel like that. You don't know what you need, but you need something, right? And so I felt like that. I felt like that because I had midterms, and then I had 3 papers, and then I have to have 4 chapters of my dissertation in by next week. But I still have to work. And then I have to present this information. And then Roxy was on me for this PowerPoint. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yes, right? So that's a lot, right? So it is really important to talk to someone, And then look, it's been kind of stigma to have a therapist, but sometimes we don't even have to say anything in a session. Client just need some affirmation and a non-judgmental listening ear. And I'll see you next week. And they leave out happy, happier, or better prepared for what's next. Absolutely. Yep. And so what does anxiety look like? Dizziness. Wait, first, let me do this. Anybody had an anxiety attack? Let me tell you, it is the worst thing. You didn't raise your hand, I'm glad. Maybe I didn't know. Yep. 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 Look, I thought I was having a heart attack. So it happened. I was hired about 10 years ago as I was working for this company, Rest Care, provided services to people with developmental disabilities. And the company is national, international. So as an executive director, we had to fly out every month to visit another operation. I hated flying. And so that was my introduction to having to fly so often. On my way to the airport, it's like, so I'm gonna try my best to explain it so I know what clients are trying to explain to me. It's like it was a lot of adrenaline and chemicals just moving around in my head. And it had caused a high level of discomfort and difficulty. So I pulled on to the side and I was trying to figure out what is happening because that was my first flight. It was so bad, I went on Indeed to find another job. Now, and that's bad because I was an executive director for $1 billion company. So I wasn't getting $1 billion, but I was 30 and it was really good, but it was impairing my ability. So I had begun to, I need to find something else because this is not gonna work. So what did I do? I enlisted in therapy. Now I'm probably one of the hardest clients to treat, but I did, right? So we did a lot of desensitization. I was simulations, conversations about folks who I might want to see on a flight. What would that conversation look like? He was really good. His name is Carlo Cuneo. He was really good. And so it helped, right? It helped me. And I did that for a year, weekly, a year. And today I'm not great with it, but I can jump on a plane and I wouldn't consider another job, right? So you may experience some sleeplessness, trouble concentrating, racing heartbeat, fast breathing, and shaking and trembling. And those last ones really mimics heart attack symptoms. So you'll get to the hospital and they plug you up to the EKG and the echo and all of that stuff. And everything is normal. And right when you see that it's normal, guess what happens to your body? It responds to you knowing that you're not about to die. So your sympathetic system and your parasympathetic system now begins to work based upon knowledge, right? And so mine was bad. So he had to give me something also. But I noticed my body begin to calm, right? And so when I'm speaking to my students, we always do calming exercises. Always try to find out what is it. Or I might put music, soft music in the background as we're having a session. Next. So untreated anxiety can lead to something more. Anxiety is the feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. And a lot of times we create that stuff for ourselves, right? Generalized anxiety disorder is persistent and is excessive worry about several things. So there's a difference. If, for me, it was flights, it becomes generalized if it's flights, highway, work, kids' report cards, and everything presents an issue, then that becomes generalized. And that might need more medicinal kind of treatment because that's every day. And then panic attacks is sudden and it doesn't really have a trigger. It can just come from anywhere. And so psychiatrists don't know if they can't tell you if it's biological or if it's environmental. We just know the symptoms and they're present. Now you can do a family history from a psychosocial, but we can't say for sure, you know what, that's biological for you. I knew flying was presented stress for me. And so it had become to be environmental. So I had to get control over that so that I can continue to work. And it happens without provocation. And that's the embarrassing part for most people. You might be sitting at a table. You might be at the Bayou Classic. You might be in an LSU game. You might be at work. And then you just begin to feel a little different. And then you're trying to figure out, okay, what's happening? Is she looking at me? And so that's why folks begin to stay at home, because they don't want that to happen in the public. And it becomes debilitating. And guess what? Anxiety is the most treatable of the psychological issues we can have. The most treatable. Next. Here we go. I'm going to pass this baton.
All right, I'm going to sit back here because I can see it better and I like this vibe. So what is SEL? There's a video that we're going to watch in just a second, but social emotional learning, or SED, social emotional development, is pedagogical, is a big word, but it really just means teaching in practice. So what do you practice in the classroom or when you are engaging with people? It's your approach that aims to support the whole student's academic, social, and emotional growth. There are 5 components: self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, social awareness, and self-management, right? So if you think about those 5 components, that's a whole being to me, right? That covers all the components. But Luke, there's a very cool man that explains it much differently than I do. So can you hit us with our video, please? Thank you. Thank you, Luke. So I've added this website to our resources at the end. I love the videos. They are extremely relatable for elementary through high school students, but it's also relatable content for parents, right? So a parent, I might be engaged in a particular exercise and a parent might inquire why, right? And I said, well, my background, my pedagogical grounding is kind of SEL. So I'm trying to foster things inside of my dance classroom beyond just the technical skills of dancing. So I might send this video, right, to the parent and say, check this out. It's 3 minutes long, right? And we can follow along. That then opens the discussion to how I can support that student in the classroom socially and emotionally. So it has a particular relevance, of course, to disadvantaged groups, girls, students with disabilities, students from low income families who receive or received limited support during school closures. So one thing I want to focus on now is the deficiencies. So we went through a year and a half to 2 years where our social emotional learning was compromised. We were forced into a virtual learning space and a virtual reality. We were isolated and taken away from our interactions with people. So then what happened as a result is when we masked up and were asked to step back into these environments, there was an anxiety that had developed because of this isolation, that even though you may not have suffered from anxiety prior to the pandemic, you now had to step back into situations which used to be normal that were now extremely uncomfortable, right? Because even going to the grocery store, we were compromised or challenged. We were monitoring our 6 feet. I noticed that if anybody got closer than 6 feet, it's almost like my aura changed, and I could feel their presence more. When before, this is Louisiana, we were having parades and games and crawfish boils. So it created a communal anxiety that we were all trying to navigate through. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip past this video, Luke, and take us to the next one. Thank you. It is good. So here we insert the arts. I am a dancer, a writer, a researcher, and a poet. And the exposure to the arts opportunities allows students and teachers to engage with one another in a way that often stands in contrast to how they engage with other people. So here's my example. Our arts teachers, I know that Ms. Caldwell's a visual arts teacher. You may find that your students engage differently with your arts teachers than they do in their core academic subjects, right? You may feel comfortable crying with the dance teacher or with the art teacher, because it's that environment where you are asked to emote and express, right? This places the art teachers at a very, very monumental position in the relationship between the student and the school community, because we then serve as a liaison for that student when they are in trouble. Oftentimes I would go home and wonder, well, why all the babies want to come tell me that they don't want to do and that they feel, but it is that level of trust that we develop in those arts classes and those ancillary engagements that allows them to do so. It also allows them to demonstrate and communicate their learning for both the arts, and core curriculum subjects. So we'll talk more. And if you were in our sessions prior on yesterday, I'm talking to our virtual audience as well. We had some presenters that expressed integrating the arts into all of the core subjects, right? And they gave us wonderful examples on how you could integrate the arts into social studies and reading and mathematics. So if you are an educator in one of those core subjects, my suggestion is to talk to your performing arts teachers, to talk to your visual arts teachers, and decide on action plans for collaboration. Next slide, please. All right, I love these videos. I am going to let these play. These are short, colorful, and engaging video lessons that can serve as awesome prompts for conversations, developing story-based or thematic choreography, and encouraging expression. Let's start with the top right. No, you're right. Let's go with elementary first. Thank you, Luke. Mhm. Okay, Luke, you can stop it there. So I love this one. I have two toddlers. I have a 14-year-old, but I also have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old at home. And so we do video breaks, either when we're getting a pull-up change or right before we get in the bath time. And I will use one of these videos. What I love about this video is that you'll see with the younger students that while they're waiting for the contestant to respond, they've already responded. They're like, oh, she feels sad, or I would feel embarrassed. So then when they get that response, they're able to self-assess and say, wait a minute, that's not what I felt that he's wrong. Before the X comes, they're able to discern their feelings versus someone else's feelings, right? So this is giving them that sense of self-awareness and self-assessment that is so important. I also use my youngest as an example. I understand his energy because he wants what he wants, when he wants it, how he wants it. He's 2, but he doesn't always have the language to communicate what he's feeling. By showing them these videos, he then begins to keep on and hold on to that language. So he said, I'm sad, mommy. You know, it then becomes verbal instead of that actionable aggression because he doesn't have the language. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Please. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. And you know, I think about it like this in terms of the actual disease. We talk about antibodies, right? And if you've been sick and what your body holds on to. I consider this more like mental and emotional antibodies from the COVID-19 pandemic, right? Because we're still walking around and trying to readjust to can we call it normal, but normal social behavior, right? So we are at a deficit. Mhm. 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 And take it a little further when you engage social media, text message, and virtual school, right? So they've been communicating using just their fingers, using just text, right? So no eye contact, right? No audible response, right? No natural impetus. So imagine we did that for a year and a half. And then you throw me back into a public school with 300 other people, and I ain't been touched in 12 months for real, right? And I can't see you all I have is this, right? Right, or all I see is this, which is then my interpretation of what I'm receiving from you, right? And we wonder why they fighting each other in the hallway. And the rules keep changing, right? So then you're home for 14 days. No, you're home for 10 days. No, you're home for I don't know how many days if you touched, talked, sat next to, right? And then now, and then here we are now on the precipice of yet another shift because now we remove these masks mandates, right? And we don't know. And so we'll see at the end of the presentation that we talk about creating safe and healthy environments and what that means in a COVID reality. That means giving them safety nets and cushions versus both in person and virtually so that should it happen again, right? Should the unknown occur, we won't be in the same position we were, what was it, March 13th? Because everybody remembers it, where it shut down and we were kind of like, well, dang. What we gonna do now? You gonna make a mask? We didn't even have masks. Remember, we were home making thing, toilet paper. All right, so let's show Name That Emotion. I really like this one. Beautiful moment to stop the video and engage your students, right? And ask them, how did y'all feel when cheer practice was canceled? Excellent prompt for conversation about differences. Exactly. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yes, Clay.
Side by side. I've heard in different settings that anger is a secondary emotion. Not always, but usually the primary emotion is fear.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful way to begin to engage, as Clay was saying, about multiple emotions at one time. And that goes back to what Dee was saying about his flight, right? He would have certain indicators that things were happening in his body, right? And so it's almost, please forgive me, I told y'all they're 3 and 2, but it's almost like potty training because you're learning the sensations of your body that are telling you that something either needs to happen or is going to happen, right? And so that's what we teach kids that self-assessment is. I often tell Kingston, that's my daughter, I say, you know how you feel like you have to go to the bathroom? I said, well, you can feel like you're sad. You feel that in your body, and I want to give you language to express that. All right, next slide. We're gonna run out of time. Oh, do we need a break? Y'all need a break? What y'all want? Oh, okay. Common consensus online is plug through. Tanya, come on, let's do one.
School teacher and you look at the time, you're like, we only have about 15 minutes, gotta do that. But I feel D looking at me like, breathe, T, breathe. He's like, Tanya, breathe. But I love that the word jealous was up there on the board, because some of our students don't have, like you said, the language or the words to know different types of emotions and how to identify those. So how cool would it be to print out a list of all the different emotions? It's over 100 of them, right? And just identify, tell them what they mean, and let them pick, this is what I've been feeling when I'm in this situation, and let them identify that. So what I want to do, Roxy, can you be Vanna? I want you to give everybody 2 pieces of delicious chocolates, and it's fresh, y'all. It's hot and fresh. she skipped D. Okay, so we are going to do. Oh, this is Paige. Paige is cutting up. I see. Oh, he has one. Okay, so if you are with us at home or at your office, we're going to do a mindful eating activity. Go ahead and grab something, even if it's water, sip a cup of coffee, hot tea. We're going to do a quick mindful eating icebreaker. I love doing this. It just feels good. I know, I didn't tell you. I wanted to give it. I wanted to give it to you. Yeah, it's a real thing. Look it up. It's called mindful eating. You can dive deeper into it later if we want to talk about it. Yes. So go ahead and open it up, Luke. Open up one of your what? Open up a piece of chocolate or okay. Open up a piece of candy. Go ahead, and everybody do this with her. And take your time and think about how exciting it will be to partake in this afternoon unexpected treat that you deserve, because you have gone. Wait, are you eating yours already? I know, Kiana. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, you were so good. Okay, and now I want you to look at it. I want you to smell your special treat. Roxy, I see the smile. Your cheeks are rosy. What does it smell like to you? How does that feel smelling that? You are glowing. She said exciting. Paige, how about you? Oh, and so it's connecting scenarios. D, how are you feeling? I think you're excited about the Snickers. he's hungry. Okay. And Clay, how about you? Don't worry, there's enough. Let's give him another piece, Clay. Give him another one. Clay, Clay threw it in his mouth. Clay, just like, can y'all see him? He ate that chocolate. Okay, so now so what I want you to do is now go ahead and take a bite. You can close your eyes, a nice bite. Dive in. I'm not looking, Luke. And I want you just to take that bite, chew, and think about how the candy feels. Is there a crunch? Is there a squish? Is it melting on your tongue? Do you feel certain sensations as you eat the chocolate? Someone talked about the memories that come back when you're eating it. You're thinking about watching a great Netflix movie in bed, and it brings you a sense of joy, excitement. Kiana's tasting the cherries. Are you thinking about Snug Harbor? So if you're eating a piece of fruit, right? So your fruit, it's and that fruit can be satisfying just as the piece of chocolate, right? So Beth, how are you feeling? Yeah. Oh, yes. I feel like Pavlov's dog, because I'm not even eating it, but watching you all. Roxy is taking a whole bag over here, scarfing my candy now. It's fresh, y'all. It's hot and fresh. And it's making me salivate. And I'm also, as soon as you said your memory of the movies and popcorn, I'm thinking about like the carnivals when we used to go under the big top for real, right? The big circuses, Barnum and Bailey, Universal Circus in New Orleans, driving down Elysian Fields. And it takes us through so many other thoughts and memories that can feel so good, right? So doing something like this took 3 minutes, mindful eating. You can do it with a liquid, a piece of fruit, hard substances. It's helpful to do because you're being more aware of what you're taking in your body. If you have a yearning for something sweet, like Kiana said, or a yearning for something salty, diving into that intentionally with thought can help to satisfy that craving, can help to promote good, healthy thoughts, can help to arouse, right? So when we think about mindfulness, using those 5 senses, what you smell, what you taste, Clay, how you taste all that candy, what you touch, what you hear, and what you feel, right? Yeah, that's it. What you smell. Let's say that one. So the 5 senses, right? So because you did so well with that activity, you're going to have 3 more pieces of chocolate, 3 more cherries. Okay, D, 8 more, because I know you said you're hungry. All right, and that is called mindful eating. So what we can do is send you an additional resource on that. I'll add to that because it came to me. I said we wanted to feel the room out, but you all deserve that mindful eating break. All right, so you're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so we've talked along the lines of how this is showing up in our classrooms. We've talked about grief, anxiety, and depression. We've talked about aggression. Here are some statistics just to throw at you. Between March and October of 2020, the percentage of emergency department visits for children with mental health emergencies rose by 24% in children ages 5 to 11 and 31% in children ages 12 to 17. There was also more than 50% increase in suspected suicide attempts, emergency department visits among girls ages 12 to 17 in early 2021 as compared to the same period in 2019. Next slide, please. Mm-hmm. Bubble it up. 46% of parents say their teen has shown signs of a new or worsening mental health condition since the start of the pandemic in March 2020. Last month, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and the Children's Hospital Association declared that the pandemic-related decline in child and adolescent mental health has become a national emergency. And more than 25% of high schoolers and more than 20% of kids ages 5 to 12 reported the pandemic negatively affected their mental health. Next slide, please. School factors. Dee, you want to give us some of the rundown on the school factors?
So what are we saying? Can we give our kids a break? Can we? Because think about it. Roxy and Tanya, myself, everybody in this room have a set of coping skills in a tool set, regardless of what it is. You have access to funds, car, restaurants. Think of my son is 14. He needs us to do something, but he was still impacted. So think about the ones younger than him, right? And so to each their own, I'll tell you what I instituted in my house. Son, you need a mental health day? Yes. Stay home. Stay home. Stay home. We good. We good, right? And they're in a magnet track, and I know Roxy's son is also at the BR Magnet High School as well. Those schools are rigorous, coupled with the preteen stuff, right? And so our kids are in the preteen adolescent is called, we call it storm of stress. They're experiencing their sexuality, peer pressure. There's access to the internet, social media. Their voices are changing. Girls are liking them. Boys are liking them. Boys are liking the boys. So it's a lot for them is what I'm saying. That's fine as that's what's happening, but it's a lot for them. So then it's our obligation to give them what they need and to also be understanding of where they are. So it was until I started teaching adolescent and child psychology not again, because I had it when I majored in psychology, but I began to teach it. And so it was at that point when I could sit with my daughter, who's now 19, and have them tough conversations. For a dad, it's real tough about certain things, but it brought me back to social work. I need to meet her where she is. Talk to me, baby. All right. It was hard, but she had to understand that I understand. And then that alone opens up room. Yes.
So these are things that like affect our kids that if these rules
Great point. So it's also important for us to be active with the school board meetings and policy changes, implementation and such. So here are some characteristics of students with social emotional deficits, whether it was brought on by COVID or whether their family dynamic, socioeconomical status, whether it's biological, whatever the case is, here are some characteristics. And so the younger kids may disrupt the classroom. They may be impulsive, inattentive, distractible, preoccupied in thought, may look like they're gazing or staring at something, do not follow or appear to care about classroom rules, poor concentration, resistance to change, transitions and routines. Now, so seeing that, you might say, I don't want this student in my classroom. I'm sorry. Right? But in a lot of cases, the student has nothing to do with what's happening to him or her, whether it's biological, environmental, whether it's school factor, it doesn't matter. The child does not have anything to do with it, because if it's ADHD, he or she didn't ask for it. We didn't ask for COVID-19. His parents didn't ask to lose their jobs. And so he may not have enough food or may not be able to go on the field trip. So think about that. But it is showing up within the student. So in the older students, they may demonstrate aggressive behavior, intimidate, bully other students, regularly miss class, self-esteem, low eye contact, head down, shoulders slumped over, walking really slow. You can probably see the students who doesn't have a healthy self-esteem. Difficulty working in groups, timid, doesn't want to share, doesn't trust anyone, demonstrates self-injurious behavior, cannot apply social rules related to other personal space and belongings, and may appear to be manipulative of certain situations. And so that manipulation is not purposefully. That's how that student is navigating the space that they're in. But it presents as a manipulative person. Now, you're a teacher. No way in the world I'm telling you to become a therapist and to identify all of this stuff. So what I tell my teachers when I do a professional development, look, I'm not coming to your classroom and teach math. So I don't expect you to be me, but if you can just identify that this student has done something a little different, if their pattern has changed, or just notice something, that's it. Give me the referral, I got you. That's it, right? And then perhaps just have a care, we call it carefrontation kind of conversation. Is everything okay? Real soft voice, get down to their level, just help them to feel like it is okay, even though that it may not be, but we're gonna work it out together. Versus, you can't be in here, or you may have to get a referral for TO or something like that. So what I hope to have done was to increase the teacher's level of sensitivity, and that we can help the student academically, right? Because we need that within our own workspaces. We still have to lead teams. You know, Tanya was just leading a team, and we had a talk. But we still have to do that. So just like we feel fearful or doubt, question our competence at different times, imagine when you get an algebraic equation on your paper, and you have to do that because you have a test on it Friday. Right? So just be mindful. Our students don't have the tools we have or the access we have. Yes.
Don't remember. Right. Yeah. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. That's right. Right. So if you'll jump to the next slide, Luke, because we are out of time, but I want to make sure that we get in certain points. So this brings me back to the student experiences that they are having in our classrooms and with us. Highlighted in red is the operative on this board. The key is whether or not these experiences are positive ones with us. As educators, that requires a certain amount of empathy, right, and malleability to take us away from the curriculum, away from the core, and focus on the needs of the child. I'll give you one example, and then we're going to hop over to the list so we can kind of run down that list really quick. I had a fourth period dance class at the height of the pandemic when we went back. For some reason, every child in this seventh grade dance class was excelling in dance, but in every other academic area, they were failing. When I pulled grades, they were failing in English and math and social studies, but in dance, they would come in ready to go. And I said, hold on, pump the brakes. How do you have A's with me? And what are you doing the rest of the day? Right? So we shut it down. We took all movement off the table, and it became a peer-on-peer student help session where everybody that was in the same Spanish class, we got in a little cohort. Everybody that was in the same ELA class, if you were struggling, we got in a little cohort. It didn't mean that dance wasn't important, but I needed them to understand that to me, that was equally as important. And if you could give me a certain amount of yourself, your time and your attention and your focus, then we need to figure out how we can develop that for these other areas, right? Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Exactly. Right. Yes. Yes. And this is why self-assessment, then you can go to the next slide, then becomes important for us too, right? So what we've seen in our classrooms with our students, how have they expressed their difficulty? What have we heard from them? And then next slide, please, Luke. And then our own personal reflections. What type of environments have we created in our classes this year or in our homes, right? Because when I come home after teaching, how am I then talking to this 3-year-old and this 2-year-old? If I don't self-assess, take the moment, belly breath for mommy, so that I then have something more to pour into my children. What type of experiences have my students had in class with me? What do they feel about me? Can they come talk to me, right? And this is interpersonal as well. We said we are not exempt. I can call Diodario and say, help, my mom's string is empty. I don't have anything left. Is there an exercise? Tanya, I don't want to lose it. What can I do? And what actions have I taken? Here's your word, Tanya, to affirm my students this year. But take it beyond the classroom. How have I affirmed my friend? Right? I saw you. I love your life. I like looking at it. I'm so proud of your new position. I think you're doing a fantastic job. But how, and I'm so sharp, but how can I affirm, right? How can I pay it forward, right? Teach people how I want to be treated, right? Lead by example. The last thing I'll leave you with, is it truthful? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Before I allow things to come out of my person, let's make a decision. Is it truthful? Okay, yeah, it's true. Is it kind, Roxy? See, by the time I get to K, I'll be like, oh, okay. And then when I hit that necessary, if it wasn't kind, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Last few slides, I'm going to let Tanya take us through our list, and then we'll close up.
Oh, bless you. Okay, bless you. Took me fast. Okay, so SEL in the classroom, 7 simple steps. Simple tips. You can write these keywords down. The first one is mindfulness. We talked about that earlier, right? Recognizing the 5 senses, which you smell, see, taste, touch, and hear. Being aware intentionally, and also thinking about non-judgmental behavior and thoughts, either with yourself and with others. All right? Let me go ahead and hit the next one. I'm moving. See. Oh, wait. Back up. I missed one. Oh, no, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. Okay, so cooperation, making sure that we have leadership, negotiation, and productivity, as well as building the capacity for social emotional learning in the classroom, right? We're cooperating with one another. We're communicating with each other. We're giving choice and responsibility to our students so that they feel vested and there's buy-in in the classroom, as also with adults. When we first came in, we bought in with our icebreaker together, right? If you want to close your eyes, you can. If you don't have to. It's fine. All right. Communication. We already said that one. And also self-awareness, encouraging expression through art. I'm sitting here with Paige, and she has this beautiful journal, and it is speaking to me. It's colors. I can't get away from it. I want to just jump into it, right? But that suits Tanya, right? D may say that's not my way. He may be more interested in painting, right? I know Kiana is interested in singing. So that voice, right? So everybody has their own particular thing that they feel good with. Roxy is interpretive dance, right? So looking to find what fits with you and encouraging that expression. Also, that second bullet says, before and after completing an assignment, allow students to reflect, giving them that time with themselves. That last bullet, at the end of the day, ask your students to think about how they feel and listen. That's powerful. You ask a question, how are you feeling? And then having somebody actually stop and intuitively and intentionally listen, that's powerful. And you'd be amazed at the responses that you get. All right, shared reading experiences. You talked a little bit about that.
For me in the classroom, especially for my arts and ancillary teachers, shared reading experiences are a wonderful way to calm down the classroom, as well as engage in a communal meditation of sorts. Take it chapter by chapter, one book. At the end of 6 to 8 weeks, they have an ELA book that they finished in your class. Great way to insert art history, dance history, music history, pick an artist. Great way to prompt discussion. this artist was going through this. How would you have handled this? Shared reading experiences also give you the opportunity to do one-on-one student-teacher ratio. If we're all reading this chapter quietly, but I know I have a struggle reader, right? And I've talked to that ELA teacher about that, I can sit and read with that child together. And then we engage in group discussion. So we are still arts-based because it's content specific. I'm reading a book about a dancer, but I'm supplementing ELA and literacy. I'm giving my children a break, right? And I'm allowing them an escape at the same time.
I think that's curriculum instruction, and that's a powerful word to use. And we can do that cross-curriculum instruction. We're doing it today. We're cross-curriculum instruction today. All right. So with safety, security, routine, and clear expectations, this is what helps to have that solid foundation with our students as we bring them back into this new normal, right? Safety, security, routine, clear expectations. Additionally, fostering STL requires that students feel secure and safe. What does that mean? Some students don't want you to get close. Some students don't want to close their eyes. They've had things happen at home. Some students may need some additional support in other areas, but as long as we are aware and we are mindful in the classroom, we can help to have some of those hearty conversations around what their needs are. All right, resources and activity ideas. So can I point out this first one? Here is a sample, and Roxy's going to give it to you, a sample check-in, check-out that we found on the internet. You can recreate it for your own check-in, check-out for the classroom. It is absolutely amazing. You put your name in, the date. How are you feeling today, Luke? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you kind of like, meh, right? And are you angry? And this provides a nice starting point for you to be able to say, I need to have a conversation with this student today. You may not want to do it every day. You maybe want to do it once a week or maybe before a test. That is okay to do that. Reason why I feel like this, something I feel really good about is providing an opportunity for expression and even gratitude. Something I'd like to work on more, something that I need help with. This shows you as a caring, concerned educator, right? We can even use this with some of our adults. Right. Right. And it's electronic.
That you can use to access the presentation so that you guys can have it. The QR code will be on the Arts Council website for our virtual audience. And we made it. I'm sorry we ran over, but I think we had great stuff to cover. Thank you to my co-presenters. Thank you to the virtual people. And I think that's it.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so thank you. Thank you. Just happens one day at a time.